So, hello, Maggie from Jersey. You're in Jersey, I'm in Warrington. So a few weeks ago, we know that you came to Corrymeela with me and 12 others. So I'd just like you to ask you some questions now about your experience of Corrymeela and the peace and reconciliation theme that was there. So the first question, what is the Corrymeela Centre?
Well, the Corrymeela Centre is based in Northern Ireland, and it's a very beautiful and peaceful place. And as you sit there, you can see the Isles of Scotland and the beautiful Rathlin Island. The centre apparently was actually a former holiday park, but now has very modern accommodation, and it has a lovely church which is shaped in the form of an ear, representing the importance of listening to each other, which is the essence of their reconciliations idea. The centre of the church is called a choir, I think I've got that right, Rita, which means heart, where pilgrims can gather, pray and worship. In addition, there are obviously lots of different meeting rooms and areas to join together to eat and reflect, and lots of playgrounds outside for the children.
Okay, thank you. What was the food like, Maggie?
Well, the food, I think it depends on your view of food. The food was very filling, and it was lovely to come back and have fish and chips when you've been out all day and have somebody to cook.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So why was the Corrymeela Centre founded?
Well, it was actually founded by a Presbyterian minister, Ray Davey, who was a prisoner of war. And while he was a prisoner of war, he was watching all the firebombs in Dresden in 1945, and he was involved and heard a lot about the language of hatred and violence, and how people used to talk about us versus them. And he was very influenced by this and thought that wasn't really the way to go forward. And he was also reading about the ecumenical communities of the Christian faith around Europe. And he began to form Corrymeela with some other people and some people from Belfast University. And it was set up in 1965 as a way of building peace in Northern Ireland. And during the conflict known as the Troubles, Corrymeela welcomed people from different sides of the argument, and they could meet safely there. And if you go there, you can see how from Belfast to Corrymeela, it's such a beautiful place. And away from the busyness and violence going on in Belfast, they could sit and reflect. And it's without a doubt that these relationships played a key part in accelerating the Northern Ireland peace process and inspiring people into reconciliation. Corrymeela have an idea that they say their aim is to nurture respectful relationships so we can live together. And so Corrymeela was founded as a living expression of a Christian community, and the leaders strive to be guided by the life and teachings of Jesus.
Okay, thank you. It's very interesting. So we know that Corrymeela get involved in projects. So what sort of projects do they get involved in?
Well, there's many worldwide and international projects they get involved in, particularly with reconciliation. They have community support about over 7,000 young people every year, mostly from marginalised communities, to explore difference and live well together. Another of their programmes focuses on leadership and ways to help leaders work in a cohesive society and lead a cohesive society. The community also includes about 200 members who are dispersed across the island and beyond. And these members, they commit themselves each year to relationships that overcome divisions of us and them, and commit to praying for the community so that they can become a better we. They also, and we saw this when we were there, community that employs lots of different staff from across the globe. And there were groups in America, Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and they were exploring their Irish roots and path to peace.
Okay, that's great. So Corrymeela is a centre for peace and reconciliation. And while we were there, we had a presentation from a member of the Corrymeela community about the cycle of reconciliation. So what does this involve?
Well, it is quite complex, but it's also very interesting. As like any argument, there's always two parties, and these two parties must want to listen to each other. And he talked about how you have to enter a risky relationship. If you want to solve the problem, it's a risk because your identity is involved in that. And also, you've had a lot of hurt caused by the brokenness of the relationship. And that may be many years, it may be embedded, it may be inherited hurt and trauma from previous generation that you've picked up. So each person or group needs to commit to change, to reclaim a possible new identity, and then re-enter a new relationship with the other person or group. Now, that's not easy because you've got to reflect upon yourself and think about how you want to be. So it's a new big sense of who you are. And this is really clear in the example in Ireland, Northern Ireland, because Ian Paisley, who we all know was quite a firebrand, and Martin McGuinness both changed their view and position to start the talks, which eventually led to peace. From sworn enemies to apparently sometimes called the Chuckle Brothers, Martin McGuinness and Ian Paisley became Northern Ireland's most unlikely double act. And one was a former IRA commander, the other once stood up for the European Parliament to denounce the Pope as the Antichrist. But remarkably, against all the odds, a deep friendship developed between these two dashing figures that enabled Northern Ireland peace process. And in 2007, the Democratic Unionist Party, DUP, agreed to share power with Republican Party Sinn Féin, and Paisley and McGuinness became the First Minister and Deputy First Minister. And that was all because of the risky relationship that they entered.
Okay, thank you. So thinking about us living at Corrymeela as a community, what did you find encouraging and enjoyable about living with 13 people, most of whom you didn't know?
Well, that was quite interesting, and I found discussing what goes on in other churches and their struggle similar to our own, with low membership sometimes, and thinking about the future and about how they were dealing with these challenges. I also enjoyed talking to people from different denominations because it wasn't just from the URC. And I was encouraged to share my faith and to learn from the others. And some of the group members had different theology from mine, but there was an undercurrent of love and peace and Christian charity towards each other, which I really felt and enjoyed while being there. Difficult to explain, but that was a good feeling. It was good to be an unapologetic Christian. Sometimes in our daily life or work, we don't always be fully who we are. So it's just nice to be who I am. And it was just interesting to find out about other people's lives and how faith helps them and gives them focus.
Yeah, thank you. And what did you find challenging about living with the other community?
Well, it was a short time, so I wouldn't want to say that I found anything challenging. And as a former teacher, I like to be organised and to keep to time schedules. And there was an opportunity to keep out of activities and to have time with my mum. And also there was an opportunity to have time to be on my own.
That's good. So did you take away any thoughts about how you could implement peace and reconciliation in any aspects of your home or church life?
Well, I have been thinking about this quite a lot in church life, and did raise something recently with the elders. And I was most influenced by the concept of listening and reminded on the retreat of the expression, "This is my truth, now tell me yours." It is enough to respect each other, not necessarily change or convert them. I've also been thinking about generational trauma or hurt. Now, as a parent and teacher, I obviously want to pass on positive ideas, but this also relates to how organisations, groups and individuals, we must respect difference. To build relationships is highly important, but it's not always necessary to agree with another viewpoint, but agree to differ. It's okay to let people just be. In practicing Christ in action, I need to value other people, even if they have different views from my own, providing, of course, they don't cause harm to people. I will endeavour to listen more, to value difference, to seek reconciliation of different views in this church, my family, and where I can, support such charities that strive to do this also, as Christian Aid and UNICEF.
Thank you. All sounds really good. So what's one thing that you will particularly remember about your time at Corrymeela?
Well, this is quite personal, but it was good to be with Mum and my 25-year-old niece and partake in the discussions together. My niece's singing, leading the music, and an expression of faith as a young adult was most inspiring. My mother's determination to take part in all the activities, including the worship sessions, and contribute to discussion was most memorable. In one discussion, Mum said it was lovely to have fellowship with each other as Christians that love God, and secondly, how important it is to realise that we are always learning. I hope at 91 I have such a positive attitude.
Thank you. And I remember something that your mum said. She said, peace starts in your heart. Peace has to start in your own heart. I remember, and I've quoted it a few times since.
Oh, well, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And have a good rest of Jersey. See you soon.
See you soon. See you soon, everyone.